Yo, what's going on, guys? It's Houston Sports Talk back into the video day. And today, the Miami Dolphins have released quarterback Mike White, who did play a total of 6 games for the Miami Dolphins last year. Did not start in any of the games. It was fully healthy. There were a couple blowout games. One very familiar blowout game as they won 70-20 against the Miami Dolphins. But he did go 5 for 6 last year in the games we saw at the end of the game where Tua would come out, whether they were getting blown out or they were, crushing the Broncos or someone else. He threw 5 for 6 with 74 passing yards and 1 passing touchdown last year. It looked pretty solid. In the preseason, that was a little bit different. He threw 20 for 41 with 170. It was 179 passing yards. 20 for 41, no interceptions, no touchdowns, and he ran for 14 rushing yards. Now, those aren't good numbers, but I'm not too happy with this roster cut for the Miami Dolphins. Not only are they cutting someone who has shown experience as a starter, I'm not mad with them choosing Skylar Thompson as the backup, getting the backup job over Mike White. That's not what I'm upset about, just because of the fact that Skylar Thompson played great in the preseason. Yes, did he threw a couple interceptions in the preseason, threw 2, but in their final game, he threw 190 passing yards, threw a touchdown. He threw 2 touchdowns in the preseason. He looked really good. Yes, he makes 2 mistakes in the preseason, but looked really good in the preseason besides those 2 mistakes. And even though he did throw those 2 interceptions, he looked better than Mike White did, way better than Mike White did. So if you ask me, he earned that backup job. He deserves to be the back. He deserves to be the backup quarterback. He should. I think that's a good call by the Dolphins. But what I think is not the good call is for the Miami Dolphins to only roll with 2 quarterbacks. Look, I've talked about this. Even though most teams roll with 3 quarterbacks, since it's the NFL has changed it to where an NFL team can carry 3 quarterbacks on the game day roster, and teams could carry 3 quarterbacks on the 53-man roster, but you couldn't have 3 quarterbacks active on the game day roster. Now you have that 3rd quarterback available as an emergency quarterback, and that it happened because of that 49ers-Eagles NFC Championship game. The 49ers had 2 quarterbacks get injured. So it's not like you have a starting quarterback that has been healthy in his whole career. I want to see Tua healthy. I hope for him to be. I predict for him to be. And we saw him healthy last year. He looked great. I think it was very incredible how he was able to stay healthy and stay on the football field. But and I said the same thing about another guy who's been injured a lot in his career, Lamar Jackson. You can't guarantee health for those 2 guys. And I've also talked about on my channel about how I feel like the Ravens don't really have a good backup quarterback if Lamar gets hurt, which could be troubling for them. But enough of the Ravens. As for the Dolphins, look, if Tua goes down, they have a nice backup quarterback in Skylar Thompson. With the offense that the Dolphins have, I think Skylar Thompson would be a nice replacement for Tua if he were to go down. Knock on wood, hoping he doesn't, as I'm not near any wood. So, but knock on wood that Tua doesn't get hurt. But if he does, there's only 2 quarterbacks on the roster. Skylar Thompson, that's it. Of course, you could. If Tua gets injured and Skylar Thompson becomes the quarterback, of course you could sign a quarterback and to become the backup for Skylar Thompson. But I don't think you're going to find anybody better, to be the backup quarterback for Skylar Thompson than Mike White, because it's not me saying that Mike White's amazing, but someone's going to pick up Mike White. There are teams that could use a backup or a 3rd quarterback. Someone's going to pick up Mike White. So the quarterbacks that will be available, if Tua were to potentially get injured and Skylar Thompson becomes the starter, you might be able to find a solid backup quarterback, but I don't think you're going to find someone who has done what Mike White has, has done in his career. In only 3 years, he has started in 7 games. He has thrown 2,200 19 passing yards with 9 passing touchdowns, has done some really good things. Had a game against the Cincinnati Bengals where he threw 405 passing yards with 3 passing touchdowns in his first start of his career, and beat the Cincinnati Bengals, who were a playoff team at that time, 34-31. I'm not saying Mike White's amazing. I don't think he's that great. I mean, he's a solid back quarterback, but I don't think there are a lot of QB3 guys available or would be available at the potential time of a Tua injury that are as good as Mike White. I think Mike White is an average quarterback 2 or a really good QB3. But is he going to be someone that would be available, or is there going to be anyone that would be as good as him available at the potential time of an injury of Tua? Hoping that doesn't happen? No. I think for most teams, to be honest with everybody, I think for most teams, you should probably carry 3 quarterbacks. Now, I think there are some teams where you can probably trust your starting quarterback enough to the point where we don't have to have 3 quarterbacks on the 53-man roster. We trust that our quarterback will not get injured, and even if he doesn't, we trust our backup quarterback enough to the point where we're confident enough in him as a starter that we won't have to go get another quarterback that will, bring more of a competition. Like, I don't know if the Dolphins have enough confidence in Skylar Thompson for him to become a starter if Tua goes down. I mean, they might, but we'll see. I mean, I think this is showing how much trust they have in Skylar Thompson, and trust in Tua as well, because after Tua stayed healthy last year, and that was really his first healthy season of his career, they're showing trust in Tua, showing that they believe he can stay healthy again. But I think they're showing a lot more trust in Skylar Thompson, showing we believe in you as the backup quarterback. If Tua goes down, you are 100% the guy. That's what I believe this is right here. This of course shows that they believe in Tua staying healthy, but I think this shows how much they believe in Skylar Thompson as a starter. Look, I hope Tua stays healthy, and God forbid he were to get injured, I hope Skylar Thompson goes in there and does a good job. But I honestly really think a lot of teams should carry 3 quarterbacks on their 53-man roster. But teams that have a starting quarterback that has an injury history, 100% should carry 3 quarterbacks on the roster. So I'm not a big fan of the Dolphins only having 2 quarterbacks on the 53-man roster, which, look, there's a chance that they might sign another quarterback. You never know. Their 53-man roster has not been announced yet. That doesn't happen till Tuesday. It is Monday. So, something could change. They could sign another quarterback. Who knows? Maybe they could sign Mike White back. Sometimes you will see players released or waived, and then they get signed back. But if I have to be honest, I don't think that's going to happen here. I think you're going to see the Dolphins carry 2 quarterbacks on their roster when they announce a 53-man roster. I think if the Dolphins wanted 3 quarterbacks on the roster, they would have just kept Mike White and not signed someone else. But maybe I'm wrong. We'll see. Let me know your thoughts on the roster move by the Miami Dolphins in the comment section, and peace out.